11 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Handicappers report, looking at the action for Saturday, January 23rd, a big day down at Gulfstream. Brian will take a look at that. I'll toss in some comments as well. I will chime in a little bit later with some aqueduct. Seth Merrow, Brian Edo. Brian, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Seth. Happy to be here. And yeah, as you alluded to, big doings at Gulfstream weekend with the Pegasus and the Pegasus turf as well. $3 million and $1 million. I'm in a couple pretty prestigious grade ones.
Great undercard as well. A nice little maiden special weight event also with sibling to justify on the card. That should be interesting also. But before we dive into that, as you are based down at Fairgrounds this winter, I just wanted to go back to last week and get some thoughts on the big card there. The Lecomte with Mcknight Bourbon, who I thought looked very good. Mandaloun, I'll give a pass. It was the first time around 2 turns. There was a couple of times in the stretch where I thought Mandaloun was going to get going, and I'm wondering if the 2-turn experience may benefit Mandaloun going forward. A big number on the this weekend's Kentucky Derby future. I'll take a little pop at Mandaloun if that morning line holds up, because that was the kind of result I think you want for a Kentucky Derby future pool. So we'll see. But I thought Mandaloun again. I'll give him a pass on that first time around 2 turns. I thought Charlie's Penny looked good in the Silver Bullet Day, and I was kind of surprised at the price. The 2 other horses, the Cassie horse, the Cox horse, were the 2 favorites that you had to get through. But I thought Charlie's Penny was a pretty good alternative. So the $20 I thought was generous. And Title Ready looked good. Blackberry Wine looked good. Wells Bayou, first race in a long time, but it was a little bit of a disappointing third in there. What were your thoughts on the stakes results last weekend at Fairgrounds?
Yeah, we'll go back to front. I think Wells, Brad kind of hinted that he might have Wells Bayou not at his best, and he ran that way. Title Ready was very impressive because Blackberry Wine absolutely walked on the lead. It was a turf. They were all turf races. It was all 3 of them were very oddly run. They were running turf fashion, painfully slow early, relatively fast late. So Title Ready, give him credit. Sunpath, I don't really know what happened. Yeah. Quite frankly, Brad doesn't know what happened. He was at a loss for how bad she was, Seth. Let's just be honest. She was not good at all. To be off the board in the Silver Bullet Day with the way that race played out was bad. So it's kind of back to the drawing board for her. He's going to give her more time. Charlie's Penny was very, very impressive. She was a late running sprinter, and that carried out in her 2-turn debut. And it doesn't always necessarily go that way. She still had that decisive late punch. So, she's very exciting now to see come back in the grade 2, Rachel Alexandra here. The Lecomte was a weird race. You are much more forgiving for Mandaloun than I am. I loved him. I thought he was up here in terms of Kentucky Derby prospects. He was very flat. I think Brad was very disappointed. He raved about him. He said all the right things coming out of the race. He's going to try blinkers most likely in the Risen Star. He was never comfortable, Seth. He never looked a winner. So, I don't train racehorses. I just handicap them. But I was very, very disappointed in how flat and just kind of ho-hum was. To credit to Mcknight Bourbon and Joe Tallow for taking initiative in a race that looked like it had plenty of speed, Seth. Racing in 2021, nobody went, and, a very, very good horse did what he was supposed to do and had to stop. I thought Proxy acquitted himself nicely, trying stakes foes, having to run from off the pace a little bit for the first time. Mike Stidham was at the top when I talked to him immediately after the race. So Proxy's an interesting one. The one I want to mention that nobody will is Santa Cruiser, Seth, is the only horse that made up an inch of ground. He looked like he could be the controlling speed. For whatever reason, he was out the back. I don't know why. We talked to Keith DeSormo after the race. He didn't know why. But watch the replay again, Seth. He was running on at the end, and no one will notice it. It was the definition of a non-threatening fourth. But if you're looking for a total flyer, and I know he's not in the pool, but if you're looking for a total flyer, don't sleep on Santa Cruiser, because I thought he did run very, very well in a race that A, he had no chance after the flow of the race, and B, he was completely, for whatever reason, taken out of his element. I talked to Keith DeSormo the next day. I said, Keith, how's your horse? He said, he's fine. He only ran 2 furlongs. How could he not be fine? So, remember his name, if nothing else.
Very good. All right, let's jump into it. Big day down at Gulfstream on Saturday, again highlighted by the Pegasus World Cup. But we kick things off at 11:40 in the morning. Race number 1 at Gulfstream on Saturday. Optional claimers, non-winners of one other than scheduled for a mile on the grass.
Thank you for the reminder. Early pick 5 time as well. We'll go quickly through these non-stakes. These non-stakes, with that being said, are impossible. I will give one sheet selections and check the website for scratches, but this one goes 5-1 over the 2-11-10. I think you want value in all these races today, because that's the type that they are. Orencia got to the turf last time, was really, really impressive. We'll have to improve again. Does step up in class, Brendan Walsh, but she looks to be, improving for a really good horseman. It's a wide open race, and she'll offer value. Down inside, Operate for Todd has got tactical speed, was running well in New York, a much better post than last time, would be no surprise. Next door, Moral Reasoning, going from Chad to Brian Lynch, so you wonder if he can get her to improve. She hasn't been out since Kentucky Downs, but she's got prior back form. Holy Anna and What a Butte. This is a mile turf race. These posts are not good at all. So while they're both major contenders at underlaid prices or from really bad draws, I'm going to use them underneath. 5-1, 2-11-10, Seth, to kick off this monster card.
Race number 2 on Saturday, Maiden Special Weight, 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th.
It's just 11-3, Seth. I thought Dynamic One, stretching out the 2 turns last time for Todd, really, really improved. Added blinkers as well. Greatest Honor is in the Derby Future Pool this weekend for Shuggy. Looks like a nice prospect. Dynamic One should get it done here. This looks like a pretty modest field. American Law for Danny Gargan, who's absolutely white hot at Gulfstream, ran well to be a distant third in a well-bet debut, adds Lasix, 1 turn to 2 turns, stretches out as a son of Constitution, certainly bred for it. That's it. I don't think anyone else, Seth, matches up to the top 2. Another Duke can get a piece, but he's got to improve. Just 11-3 for me, early pick 4 time.
Third race is an optional claiming event with a non-winners of one other than condition, scheduled on the grass, 8.5 furlongs.
5-11-8-2 Jewel Stone for Shug. Now, this one hasn't been out since March and is facing winners for the first time. But Shug is 22% off this elongated layoff. He gets Jose Ortiz, kind of his main man. And this one ran very, very well to break his maiden when last seen. So, yes, you got the layoff, but there's risk reward, and I think the maturity and some really good works for Jewelstone. So he's a bigger, tighter 4-year-old. Let's put him on top for a little bit of an upset. Outside to number 11, Junkanoo for Chad has got good form. Another one off just a slight layoff. And I think got run off his feet last time. He'll be closer here. Number 8, Bray. First time for Mike Maker, for Mike Rapoli, from Rudy in New York. Irad is here. And then down inside, Bo Luminary for Rodolphe Brissett. I thought ran very well on the turf at Ellis. Should offer some value from a ground-saving post. 5-11-8-2, another toughie, Seth, in these turf races.
Kicking off the stakes action, race number 4, it's the Fred Hooper Grade 3 event. With $125,000 up for grabs, the 1-turn mile. And when I did the stakes preview, I'm going to be interested to see what you did with Performer. I think Performer will run better in the third start off the layoff, but I put that one underneath on the year-to-year kind of move for Fat Man. Fat Man came out of the Harlan's Holiday last year to win this race, the Hooper, and I think he might do it again this year. So I put Fat Man on top and Performer underneath. What are your thoughts on the Hooper?
Well, I really did. Former underneath, Seth, because what has he done? I mean, he's beaten up bad horses. He's looked good, but he didn't break in the Cigar Mile, and it was on a sloppy track. So the former is a major factor. And True Timber was awesome that day, but I did put him on top because I didn't think there was a lot in here, and so I'm going to put Former on top. I'm not married to him. I don't necessarily think he's a single that the tote board will tell you he is, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, he's just better than what looks like a pretty modest group. I think he maybe got a reality check in the cigar mile. I know he didn't break that day, and he was taken out of his comfort zone. He didn't do a lot of running either. And let's not forget, that wasn't your dad's cigar mile. You know, it wasn't that good of a race. So he was a distant third. But I think he's just better than this group. I put Eye of a Jedi in second. He goes second off the layoff. Tax was awesome last time. We'll talk about him in the Pegasus shortly. So if he improves, I think he's a major player on the cut back to a one-turn mile. And then Fat Man is in third. And you mentioned it. He's progressing. Third start of the form cycle. Third start of the layoff. He won this race last year. He got the ultimate setup too last year. I don't know if he gets that today. And I think he's at a major tactical disadvantage behind Performer. It's another reason I played him underneath. It's just one over the 2-5 for me, Seth, in the Fred Hooper grade 3.
Fifth race, optional claimer non-winners, 2 other than condition, 1 mile on the grass.
Yeah, and don't forget they sneaked that little mini pick, intermediate pick 4 and middle pick 4. 7-2-1-2. I took the comebacker. Todd is a big 26% off the long layoff. Opry had good form when he was last seen. Joel Rosario gets aboard. He's tactical. He can sit off what looks like an abundance of speed. I put him on top at a fair price. Emirati for Chad, I think, is clearly the horse to beat because he's drawn inside and there is a lot of speed in here. Now, the mile might be a little sharp. Obviously, the long layoff, October of 2019, that's a worry too. But Chad is just aces with these kind of long layoffs. I don't think they bring this horse back if they didn't think he could compete in graded stakes races. So Emirati, to me, is going to be really, really tough. Bodie Cream, the 12 outside to Olympic runner for Cassie and Gaffaleone on the turf, stretching out a little bit. This draw is just terrible, Seth. This draw is brutal. So I'm very worried he loses a lot of ground, but he does have good enough form to get a piece. I'm just going to put him underneath that underlaid price from a terrible draw. 7-2 over the 12 in race 5.
Before we take a break, we'll take a look at race number 6. As I alluded to it earlier, a fun little maiden special weight on the card. Maiden special weight, 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. And as this time of year at various tracks, you get these kind of races on big days with some 3-year-olds you're going to have to watch going down the calendar throughout the year, particularly the early part of the year, and perhaps Derby Trail. But Stage Raider fits that bill. Stage Raider goes out for Chad Brown, a half to Justify.
Yeah, he's a homebred for John Gunther, so that tempered my enthusiasm a little bit. There's a lot of works here. None of them really rip off the page, but I've got it. It's a tough set, obviously. It's, 5-1, 3, 10, 12 for me. And in Quantum Leap, I thought ran sneaky well on debut for Ian Wilkes. 51-1 that day at Churchill, breaking from the parking lot on a sloppy track, but he rallies for third. Lasix goes on. He stretches out. We all know the progression that Ian Wilkes likes to take these horses on. He had some trouble that day too, and he'll be a nice price. Maybe he needs this one too, but I'm going to take a stab with Quantum Leap. Bob Lodenbach and Bob Lodenbach Stables won last week at Charlie's Penny. He's been sending out live runners, so Quantum Leap at a price. Holy Redeemer is very interesting to me. Blinkers and Lasix to come back from 2 turns to 1. The second start, 2 back, was really, really good with a big number at Churchill. Don't sleep on him at a nice price. Ghazali, I will call it for Todd. This is a half to alteration and higher power. Multiple graded stakes winners, millionaires as well. They paid over $1 million for this one. For Shadwell, this one should run well. Here's Stage Raider. I mentioned the half to Justify for Chad. Jose Ortiz. No knocks. You're just going to get an underlaid price on a horse that might not be, hell bent on winning today at Furlong. So let's watch this one. And Travelers, another homebred. Todd, Windstar Farm. Irad is here. Half to some nice ones. 8 Rings was a grade 1 2-year-old Bob Baffert. This is the third foal of the dam. So there's a lot going on here, Seth. I would check the tab the tote board here. And pay attention to the also rans too, because there are going to be horses that finish underneath that are going to make a dent down the line.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will continue our look at the Pegasus World Cup Day card at Gulfstream a little bit later on Aqueduct. Please stay tuned.
Horses racing, people betting. It's been going on since before the Roman Empire. And the fastest horse is still the one that wins. Where there's gambling, there's cheating. That hasn't changed either. What has changed are the tools used to combat doping and cheaters. Today, professional horse racing operates under an aggressive anti-doping program, testing labs on par with the Olympics, and standards tougher than human sport. For 85 years, the Association of Racing Commissioners International has fought for safe horses and honest sport. ARCI standards form the basis for the rules of racing. Today, they call for a new expanded program to protect all horses, young and old. To join with them or learn more, visit arci.com.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrow, Brian Addo. We are taking a look at the Gulfstream card for Saturday afternoon, featuring, of course, Pegasus World Cup Turf, and a slew of undercard stakes. And we'll kick things off in the second portion of the card. Race number 7 with the Marshalls River, $125,000 up for grabs for the fillies and mares, going a mile on the grass. I think these races today are really competitive. I put the Saratoga horse on top, though, and I hope the morning line holds up. Nico's Dream off the win in the My Charmer, I think, is going to be a player in here. Vigilante's Way also comes in off a stakes win at Gulfstream. Put that right underneath for Shug. So for me, again, I'm going to be rooting for the folks at Saratoga and Nico's Dream. What are your thoughts on the Marshalls River?
Yeah, and she ran very well last time, Seth. And you know, the 13-1 is gone, but I think you will get that morning line because I think a lot of people aren't sold on her, and this post is difficult too. I went 3-8-9-4, and Zofel is coming back, training lights out for Brendan Walsh. You know, he's very, very strong, 21% off this elongated layoff. They threw her to the Wolves in the just a game. So we'll draw a line through that race. But look at the race 2 back at Churchill in the Mint Julep, where she was necked out. I thought she ran very, very well. Secret Message is a nice horse for Graham now with Brad Cox. She's going to sit the right kind of trip from off the pace. And Zofel at a nice price. Put her on top for me. I put Tuned over Nico's Dream. And that's because, A, she draws just a little bit better. And I know Nico's Dream beat her on the square last time, but I think the pace flattered Nico's Dream more last time. And I think Tuned off just, 6-7 races for Graham has got upside. And that was, you know, her stakes debut here in the U.S. And I thought she ran very well. So I think she can improve. That's why I put her ahead of Nico's Dream, who definitely ran big last time. As you mentioned, for our friends at Saratoga Stable, she's the next stable star now. It is the law. It sadly has been retired. So Nico's Dream for Barkley. I mean, she's definitely a major player in here. I'm a little against Vigilante's Way. She walked, she was on a modest pace for what kind of race it was last time. She didn't beat that much, and she did it in relatively pedestrian time. She has to step up today, and she doesn't have any edge on paper. And honestly, she's pretty slow on paper, Seth. So I'm against her on top. She can beat me. It wouldn't surprise me. She's in expert hands, obviously, for Shug and the Phipps. But she's going to be a major underlay off, some races that, quite frankly, don't stack up with these. I'm going to try to beat her 3-8-9-4 for me in the Marshalls River.
Yeah, this, as I say, there are a lot of wide open races on the day. I'm going to be interested to see where the betting public winds up in this race.
Yeah, I agree too, Seth, because there are going to be a lot of horses morphed into that kind of 5-1 range. And I think that's, you've got Sweet By and By from the parking lot at 4-1, and, Vigilante's Way at 7-2. There weren't too many bad morning lines today, which is kind of shocking. I don't know if Vigilante's Way is going to be favored, but whoever is, I think it's probably like a 4-1, 9-2 kind of thing.
Eighth race is the La Provoyante Grade 3 event, $125,000 up for grabs. Again, the fillies and mares, this time they go 1.5 miles on the grass. I thought, when I handicapped this for the stakes preview, I said there are a number of similar cases in this race that you can make for and against. A number of horses with pros and cons that you can feel confident about, but then you kind of pull the confidence back as well. I wound up landing on Delta's Kingdom, the Bill Mott horse, but not without a lot of confidence. Lovely Lucky in the second spot for me, an English Affair. But as I say, I think I could have made similar cases pro and con for each of those, and I could point at probably 3 or 4 others in here. Your thoughts on the race 8, the La Provoyante?
Well, I'm with you, Seth. I think Delta's Kingdom is a major player, and I think of all the favorites or of all the major players, she'll probably offer the best value off that big run last time from a bad post. She's drawn better today. She's improving for Bill Mott, the Ultimate Horseman, stretches out to 1.5 miles. She was a good third at this trip before. So I am with you. I think there's a lot to like about Delta's Kingdom. She's very tactical, too, in a race that figures to be very, very slow early and turn into a sprint off the far turn. So I put her on top. Always shopping. Is your morning line favorite at 3-1, and she's going to sit the right kind of trip. She'll be close throughout, the perfect ground saving draw. Maybe even Irad, puts her on the lead if nobody else goes. I think she's definitely going to hit hard, but she doesn't have a big margin for error. Heavenly Curlin is a little bit of the wild card because she's been awesome of late at Woodbine, and she did it at 1.25 miles last time, but it was on the Tapeta. So now she's got to do it on the turf, and her lone turf run was dreadful, by far the worst race of her career, and it was over a Gulfstream, but it was also in her debut, and she had a little bit of trouble, or a lot of trouble, I should say. So you can forgive it, but don't necessarily get enamored with her either, because those races are on synthetics, not on turf. I've got her in third. We go outside to Traipsing, who draws well for Clement and is going to be involved throughout. And then if nobody goes, I think Jose Ortiz is going to be on the lead with Lovely Lucky. It's the question is who presses her, and she's coming out of races. Civil Union or My Sister Nat would be 1-5 in this race. So she's the class in here. She's not going to be 10-1, but at 5 or 6-1, she's square with a potential flow advantage. So she's a major, major player too. I just don't know if they're going to let her get that far ahead early, which would in order much she might need to help her late. But she's the big threat too. 8-1, 7-11-5, late pick 5 time too as well, Seth.
Race number 9 is the Inside Information Grade 2 event, $200,000 up for grabs for the fillies and mares, sprinting 7 furlongs. This is my time on top for me. Comes in some decent form, but is a question mark class-wise, no question about it. Dream Marie is a horse that started the career with some promise, hasn't quite lived up to that, maybe rounding into some decent form, though, so I had to put that one in the mix. And Cinnabunny is a little bit interesting for Brad Cox. On the numbers, I'm not sure, but it's fairly new in the Brad Cox barn. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one bump up to a better number, an improved number, and that will put the horse in the mix. So I used it 4, 1, 2, and 7. What are your thoughts on the Inside Information?
I just had it reversed. It's just straight 1-4 to the hoop for me, and I almost made Dream Marie my best bet, but I've got a better one later. And I think this is the right trip for her. 7 furlongs. Now, I worry about This Is My Time getting loose. There's actually not a lot of speed for a 7 furlong graded stakes race, grade 2 race. There isn't a lot of speed. So This Is My Time. If she gets loose, it's going to be dangerous because, as you alluded to, Seth, she has been in razor sharp form for Kathleen O'Connell. But I don't think Dream Marie is going to let her get too far away early and she's got that foundation off those mile runs. One turn last time, 2 turns at GPW. So I think she'll be able to reel in This Is My Time, and that's how I played it. I don't really like anyone else in here. You mentioned Cinnabunny. You know, she wouldn't be a surprise, Seth, but you kind of alluded to it. She didn't improve at all for Brad last time. And, you know, no disrespect at all for Kathleen Demasi, who does a very good job in the Mid-Atlantic. You would think Brad getting this horse, the pink and yellow of Mike Dubb go on, you would think she would have blown way up, and she didn't. She ran basically the same race she always had. Now, she was stepping up to a grade 3. She broke a little flat-footed, wasn't as close early. So that, you know, those are excuses. But again, she didn't really do a lot that I thought she would. So I'm a little against her. With all that being said, she could be the one that presses This Is My Time. And that would only flatter Dream Marie that much more. So I've just got it straight 1-4 for me, Seth, in the inside information.
All right, race number 10, the Mcknight Grade 3 event, $150,000, mile and a half the trip. I'm looking for Barkley Tag to have a day. I put Doswell on top. I thought the horse comes in some decent form, albeit 2 or 3 starts back. We were looking at Saratoga and Belmont in August and October, but the move down to Gulfstream last time, middle of December, good second place finish in the Fort Lauderdale. So again, I think Doswell is in some good form, and at the mile and a half, may get a good position going into that first of many turns. And so I'll put that one on top, second slot and third slot. The logical contenders, obviously, Sadler's Joy and Channel Cat. I have them second and third. But you look at their records over the past couple of seasons, they just don't like to get their picture taken. On the numbers and the talent, they're the 2 to beat, but I'll take a little pop against those 2 with Doswell on top. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't disagree with anything you said. The only thing I'm going to add, and I went 11-5 over the 6. I wanted to pick Sadler's Joy. You look at him, it's like he kind of has to win. He's just better than these. He's way faster on figures. But you're right, Seth. He doesn't win, and he has no speed. And he always seems to find 1 or 2 better. He's easy to root for. Tom Albatrani's done a phenomenal job. He's 8 years old now, and all things, no reason to think he doesn't kick on again at 8. Maybe Jose Ortiz gets him in the race a little earlier, but I went with Channel Cat because I think he's going to be a better price. I liked his prep as well, and he'll be closer early than Sadler's Joy. And that's just how I played it, because I think, you know, again, Sadler's Joy, especially over this Gulfstream turf course, it's going to be fast and firm. Weather looks great on Saturday. He just runs the risk of being left with too much to do, as is normally the case. So I went Channel Cat. Now, you mentioned Doswell. And that Fort Lauderdale was just so funky, Seth. They flew early for a mile. So all these horses got run off their feet, and they were taken out of their comfort zone. So Doswell is probably going to be on the lead, and maybe he's going to be loose. The question is, what does Tide of the Sea do? Press from the outside, because he got run off his feet with trouble in the Fort Lauderdale. And I think Tyler will send him. So I'm not saying they're going to duel. That's silly, going a mile and a half. But I wonder if it's a little more aggressive early than we're anticipating. And that sets it up a little bit better late for some of these. And that's how I played it. I've got Sir Sahib in third. I mean, Kevin Attard, our buddy there from up there at Woodbine, didn't bring his horse down this year. I know last year they had a hell of a time trying to get back to Woodbine when the world came to an end. So he stayed up there at Woodbine. He's got a lot of horses with Jose Corrales now. This is a barn that's 22%. First time into the barn. Luis Syez is here. You look at that Northern Dancer and Singspiel. Big figures, Seth. So he's a major player as well. I've got it 11-5 over the 6. It's a tough race. It's a tough race to really like anyone, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned Woodbine when you mentioned Kevin Attard. Kentucky Derby, our Triple Crown Trail, they're anticipating keeping things the same. Queen's Plate, they're anticipating moving a little bit again this year. So, Interesting to see how it all plays out with some vaccines coming and whatnot. Again, we've been kind of knocking wood. Hopefully things come back to normal, but up at Woodbine, they're playing it safe, I think.
Yeah, and I know they want a big crowd there, and that is their day. And you and I have been a part of it many times. It's an awesome day. So
yeah,
hopefully, my goodness, Seth. Hopefully by what is it, August 22nd, something like that. I don't even want to shudder to think if that's a problem. My goodness. So hopefully we're.
Race number 11, Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational, $1 million up for grabs. I put number 4, North Dakota, on top. I'm going to take a little pop in here with the Shug horse, who's in some good form off the one in the Red Smith towards the end of November up at Aqueduct. I have another Twist of Fate in the second slot coming in from the West Coast off a good try at Santa Anita now in the Peter Miller barn. So a couple of prices, and then I'll try to complete a try with another price, Aquaphobia for Mike Maker. Has to improve off the past couple of starts, but I think fits okay with this group and could be a player in here. Like a lot of the races on the card, to me, this one's kind of wide open. Which way did you go on the turf?
You didn't put Colonel Liam, the morning line favorite, with his 94 buyer on top, Seth?
I did not.
And jeez, terrible job there on 7-2 on him. I think, another one of these Peter Miller reclamation projects, but another Twist of Fate is my best bet of the day. I mean, he absolutely freaked into San Gabriel last time, and we know what Peter does with these horses, and he just gets them going and they turn unbeatable. Syez's Rocket comes to mind. There's just several of them, and he got this horse, Blaine. This was a good horse with Blaine Wright. He threatened at doing some good things. He was a Derby kind of trail horse. He ran in the Preakness. It didn't work out, and then gets laid off, goes to Peter Miller, gets the comeback out of the way, and then bang, San Gabriel, boom, freak time, and added blinkers that day too. There's not a lot of speed in here. He freaked last time, and I just think he's the now horse in a race. You picked North Dakota. I've got it 8-11-4, so I'm with you. It's a race where you're allowed to pick that type of horse, because if North Dakota runs back to his Red Smith, he is going to be rock solid in here. It was a fast number. There's no great shakes in here. There's no magicals or any of these. What's the Coolmore horse that ran second? There's none of these kind of horses in this Pegasus turf. So I think North Dakota's very live. I picked Say the Word in second, who's just gotten really good now with Phil D'Amato. Arklow was odds on or very close to it in the Hollywood Turf Cup. He ran very well. Sampson Farm is disbanding in the coming months, which was sad to see, but that would be cool to see this one go out on top. He's got big figures of late. He'll like this trip. I think it's a good betting race, Seth. It doesn't, not necessarily a great renewal of this race, but that doesn't mean it's not a phenomenal betting race. And I think another Twist of Fate is in a really good spot. Can he go the mile in the 3/16? That's the question he'll have to answer. But boy, he looked so good last time. Blinkers going on. He's going to sit the right kind of trip, just off the pace. I really like him. Like I said, he's my best bet. I think he probably will be favored in here. But again, it's one of those 4-1 type of favorites. So it's a great betting race. Listen, I'm not saying Colonel Liam can't win. He's got a big pedigree. He looked really good winning his comeback for Todd last time. But if this wasn't Todd Pletcher and Irad Ortiz, he'd be about 15-1. And, square value on him is probably 8-1. And you're not going to get it. I mean, it's a bad 7-2 is silly. But even if you had to take 5 or 6, you're giving up all the worst of it here on a horse that, honestly, Seth, if you're a figure person, I know you are, I am to a certain extent, he's about the second or third slowest horse in the race.
Yeah, I don't have him in the mix, and I'm going to be interested to see what he can do. He's a horse, certainly has some talent, a newly turned 4-year-old, as opposed to the top two that I have, North Dakota and You're Another Twist of Fate, newly turned 5-year-olds that look like maybe they're just coming into their own at age 5, or North Dakota late age 4. So we'll see if those two can improve and or continue their improvement, and we'll see how the odds. Again, another race where it's going to be interesting to see how the odds do shake out.
Yeah, I mean,
a card with very competitive fields.
Agreed. And here's another, thing about Colonel Liam. He's never run in a graded stakes race, and he's never run in a stakes race against older horses. So, boy, tread very lightly on him at even if he's 6-1.
Winding it up at about 5:45 Saturday evening, 5:44 scheduled post time for race 12, the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. $3 million up for grabs, mile and an eighth of the trip. I might kick myself. You mentioned tax earlier. I left that one out of the mix, and off the Big Harlan's Holiday, that may be a mistake, but I went 10, 11, 4, and 8. I think Code of Honor is better than what we've seen in the last couple of starts. And in the third start back, maybe he breaks through and gets it done. We'll have to negotiate a trip from that post position, as will Mr. Freeze. But I just went back to Mr. Freeze kind of announcing himself as a player in the handicap division in this race last year. And so I used that. Although I don't think he quite lived up to what he showed in the Pegasus World Cup, but I appreciate the return to Gulfstream Saturday afternoon. And then Knicks Go off the last few races, including the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Knicks Go is probably going to wind up to be the one that takes the action. I put that one underneath. Knicks Go may just be gone, and they'll have him to catch, and it'll be a tough ask to do. But for me, 10, 11, 4, and 8, your thoughts on the Pegasus?
Well, I mean, yeah, do you want 7-5 on Knicks Go? He's the most likely winner. He's the controlling speed. He's just turned into a freakish animal in 3 starts for Brad Cox. The Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was out of this world. I've talked to Brad. He doesn't see any problem. He doesn't think this horse will have any problems getting 9 furlongs. Do you just want 7-5 on him? He's the best horse. I did go with Tax, Seth. I have it 7, 4, 10. And I went with Tax because he's outside of Knicks Go. And Luis Syez will not give too much away early. I mean, he's not as fast as Knicks Go, but he won't let him get too far in front either. And I think that's key, because you and I know how these mile and an eighth 2-turn Gulfstream Park dirt races can play. There's not a lot of positional changes throughout the races. And I think with Knicks Go in front and Tax just off them, I just kind of see that all the way to the far turn. And I kind of see these horses waking up off the far turn about 4 in front, and they're going to go that way to the line. I just think Tax will I'm hoping, I should say, Tax overpowers Knicks Go in deep stretch, and that's how it is. Listen, Tax is a Jekyll and Hyde kind of horse. I'm sure we've both chased him, been right, been wrong, thought big, got terrible results from Tax. But on his day, he's pretty damn good. And Danny Gargan, I mean, my goodness, he's just printing money at Gulfstream Park down there. He's about 50% almost from, he's like 12 for 28 down there or something like that. So the barn is white hot. We've got Luis Syez. The Harlan's Holiday was kind of a career best run. Now, can he back it up? I don't know. It was off the long layoff. He comes back on relatively short rest. He's got to back it up. And it's he could bounce. There's no doubt about it. But if you view him off that return for a barn that can do no wrong at the meet, it's a winning Pegasus kind of effort. I'm hoping he gets back to it. Seth, you've probably seen the stats. I believe it's 3 or 4% on horses not drawn from the 9-hole or worse, going a mile and an eighth on the Gulfstream Park main track. So I picked Mr. Freeze last year, and he ran very, very well, as you alluded to. He's in a terrible spot here. Yeah. I don't know if Code of Honors, I don't know how good he is, Seth. Is he a 1-turn horse? Is he a 2-turn horse? I know he won the Travers, and he looked awesome doing it, but, his other mile and his other 2-turn races haven't been all that great to me. He was not very good in the Clark. He doesn't have a lot of early speed. He has a terrible post. I don't see him being a Gulfstream Park dirt horse. I know he's run well over the track before, but don't forget he got so set up in the Fountain of Youth that he kind of had to win. I don't think he's going to get set up here, so I'm against him. I picked him in third. He wouldn't be a huge shock, but I'm a little against him on the top line. It's just 7-4-10. Seth, it's not a great handicap division. I understand that, and Maxfield's not here, Mystic Guy's not here, but it's not a great race, and I think that's why I'm taking the best horses just at face value.
Yeah, I remember we had Randy Hill on with us up at Saratoga a couple of seasons ago as the horse was, playing with the Jim Dandy and the Travers back in 2019. And Randy talked about, and you can see it at the bottom of the page, this horse was a claim tax. And Randy said Danny Gargan called him up. And at that point, Randy Hill had said, I already had a bunch of horses and I didn't really need any more. Finally, he got talked into it. I'll tell you, he wins Saturday afternoon for the $3 million purse. He'll be very pleased. He's already very pleased he got talked into it, but this will turn out to be a very nice claim if you pick up the majority portion of a $3 million purse.
Yeah, I don't think Claiborne Farm and Adele Dilschneider want you saying that too loud, Seth.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will shift our attention to Aqueduct on Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back on the Handicappers Report. Just got through the 12-race Pegasus World Cup card, the dirt race to end it, the turf race right before, multiple graded stakes. The weather looks great at Gulfstream, that early post. Take note of that as well. A lot of excitement there, but Aqueduct, Seth, has got it covered for you today on a 9-race card. 12:20 is their post for their opener, and it's a good one, too. It's a 3-year-old filly maiden special weight, 7 furlongs on the main track.
4, 6, 2, and 5 for me. I put Hybrid Eclipse on top, and I'm just going to draw a line through the synthetic start over at Turfway. The race 2 back at Churchill Downs is what we're looking at. So this horse now comes in from 3 starts in Kentucky, Keeneland, Churchill, and Turfway, and moves into the barn of Linda Rice. Jose Lezcano jumps on board, morning line favorite, and I think deservedly so. Actually, morning line second choice, but I think deservedly so. In either the favoritism or the second slot. Again, I have the morning line even money favorite, Maracuja, in the 3rd spot. But I think I'll be interested to see where the betting public goes. I think you could kind of flip-flop these either way. Again, given that start 2 back, I'll hang my hat on that. The move into the Linda Rice bar, the addition of Lasix this afternoon, put Hybrid Eclipse on top. Tequila in the 2nd spot. Mark Henny having a pretty good Aqueduct meet, and I'm going to hope that continues with this one, who did not show much in the first career start. It was an off-the-turfer on a sloppy track, but it was a productive race with a number of horses coming out and winning in their next starts. It was back in November. I say often that horses like this, they get a start under the belt and then a little bit of a break from that 2-year-old to 3-year-old season. And maybe they get a little added maturity with a couple of months under the belt and a start that gave them some education, and we can see some improvement. And then, as I say, the morning line, even money favorite Maracuja in the third spot, Robert Ross horse, who just missed in the career debut with a number that compares nicely with this group. So off of that, this horse may wind up to be the favorite, but the number 2 back for hybrid Eclipse down at Churchill was a better number. So again, be interesting to see. But off the debut, it won't shock me at all if the betting public tilts towards the 2. But I have it in the opener 4, 6, 2, and 5.
All right. Early pick 4-time in race 2. It's a $16,000 claim, or 4 and up a mile on the main track.
Excuse me, 5, the 1 entry, 3, and 6. I'll put Dark Storm on top for Dan Collins and our friends at Bonaventure Stables. I think this one on the class relief for trainer George Weaver will get a little boost and maybe some much needed tonic. Has been facing better throughout the career, has raced for a tag in the past, but higher tags. Now, last time for double the price of 32 in the seasonal debut, did not show much. The start 2 back in an optional claimer, wasn't in for the tag that day, did not show much. So I'm hoping this horse rebounds. But again, I think that's possible with the dose of class relief this afternoon. Dark Storm on top. The 1 entry, Giadoro, and It's All Relevant in the second spot. I'm probably more focused on It's All Relevant, with hopes that, again, this one can get back to some previous numbers. Now, the last couple of starts for this one weren't that good, but they were back in August and September. I'm hoping the layoff proves fruitful for this one and a return at this reduced $16,000 level. But it is a question mark on what we saw in the last couple of starts for this one. I just couldn't leave the entry out of the mix. Third slot, I'll go with Direct Order, goes out for Orlando Noda. Third off the claim. First couple of starts off the claim were okay. Certainly 2 back, the number was very good. Compares nicely with this bunch, and I'll hope we get back closer to that with a half step down the claiming ladder this afternoon, again, in the third start off the claim. I have it in race 2, 5, the 1 entry, 3, and 6.
All right. Company in the third. It's the Jazzle, 4-year-olds and up, a mile and an eighth, 100,000 on the line.
5, 1, 4, and 3, backside of the moon on top, 9 years old. And 9-year-old, recently turned 9-year-old, as all the thoroughbreds have their birthday on January 1st, technically. But this one comes out of a nice win to end the 8-year-old season back on December 19th, right here at Aqueduct in the Queens County, led all the way around and lengthened that lead to fire a triple-digit buyer figure. Lifetime best buyer figure as well. So horses reaching a lifetime career form, as it were, as a 9-year-old. But off of that, and in the short field, I'll put the horse on top. Musical Heart in the second spot. I debated, I'm back and forth in the second spot with Musical Heart or Mr. Buff. Love Mr. Buff. I'm just not sure over the past couple of starts I could really feel confident putting him in the second slot, whereas the past couple of starts from Musical Heart were pretty good for Robert Frost and Mike Dubb. So I just thought he was in a little bit better form to kind of have some confidence in. So for me, in the Jazzle, 5, 1, 4, and 3.
All right, one more for the break, and this is the Empire 6. So take note of that. They're paying out on a daily basis, no carryovers or anything. It's a $25,000 state bred maiden claimer, 3-year-old filly, 6 furlongs.
6, 8, 2, and 9. The number 6, Bustin' My Groove. The first 3 starts of the career were okay. The buyer number improved, start 1 to start 2 to start 3. Finishing position has improved, excuse me, as the horse has gotten closer to a win position. The workouts are okay. It's Danny Gargan. It's a horse getting some more class relief in career start number 4. It's also 3 to 5 on the morning line. And I think on all the things I said, will take the action, be a short price. And in this kind of race, with this kind of horse, I don't know whether you want to hang your head on a short price. Now, you do make the decision, is this horse good enough for the single, or do you want to shop for alternatives in the race? I think the horse has a clear edge, but we're talking about buyers that are improving in the mid-50s. So this is not a world beater by any means, but probably does have the edge on this bunch. If you're looking for alternatives, Big Tony's Girl has a little bit of a resume to look at in that the career debut was pretty good. That was a maiden claimer, then moved into a maiden special, state-bred maiden claimer to state-bred maiden special. That move up proved to be a little too much of an obstacle. Now moves not only back into a claimer, but into a lesser price than we saw in the career debut. So I think the move back down for the daughter of Speitster will be beneficial. Third spot and fourth spot, I have a couple of first-time starters that I thought might be a little bit interesting. Scott Alea, the number 2 horse. Again, it's Rudy Rodriguez with maybe a little bit of breeding, steady string of workouts. And our friends over at Eddie F's in Saratoga, they had a nice win, last week with one of their horses. They've got the first-time starter in here with trainer Gary Siaka, winner warrior. Always like to root for the local connections. I think this one could be a little bit interesting as well as a debut runner. And the fourth at Aqueduct, 6, 8, 2, and 9.
All right. That'll bring us to our final break on the Handicappers Report. When we come back, Seth will get through the late pick 5 at Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit capitalotbbet.com and sign up today.
And welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you on Pegasus World Cup Day. And Seth is getting through Aqueduct. Brings us back now for the late pick 5 in race 5, 2:20 in the PM. It's a state-bred 1X, 4 and up, going a mile.
2, 1, 5, and 4. I put Notorious Flirt on top. I have a 5-1 morning line price for a Linda Rice runner that I think fits nicely. I think it's maybe between my top 2, but boy, if the afternoon betting lives up to the morning line, I don't think there should be as much of a discrepancy as 5-2 versus 5-1. So at the price of Linda Rice runner, who I think is pretty comparable in talent, it's just a little more attractive than number 1 Advanced Strategy. But as I say, I think talent-wise, these horses are pretty similar. Now, they each, as is evidenced by the condition of the race, they each only have the 1 win, but they have shown some talent, and certainly compared to this bunch, they look to have an edge, albeit a slight one. But I put them very similar as far as talent. 2 over the 1, over the 5 and the 4. Kaz's Beach in the 3rd spot. I think this horse is interesting. Came in off a big win to break the maiden at Penn National, but had run at Naira tracks previously on the turf, however. Moved to the dirt at Penn National, won nicely, then came back to New York on the dirt early in December and was a little more disappointing, let's say, than the win at Penn National with the 3rd place finish on the return to New York. But it was with a number that fits nicely with this bunch. And then too early is the other Linda Rice runner. So just on that factor, I think too early is a little bit interesting as well. In the fifth at Aqueduct, 2-1, 5, and 4.
Late pick 4 times 6, $25,000. State bred maiden claimer 3-year-old filly, 6 furlongs.
9, 5, 8, and 7. I'll put Stella Mars on top. Matacat and Company, Ray Handle. Again, this is a weak field. This horse looks to perhaps have an edge in here. 2-1 on the morning line. But again, in a weak field, the numbers that this one is firing are good enough. Dropped down to this level last time, ran an okay third. Picks up Manny Franco this afternoon. So there are things to like. But again, this is no world beater. We're looking at buyer numbers pretty much in mid-30s. There's a mid-40 and there's a 50 buyer there. This is not by any means a horse that you want to have a strong amount of confidence in on your pick tickets. I would think, again, it's decisions people have to make. If you think something's clever later, or if you think you have to go deep later, maybe you do hang your hat on this horse. It's not the kind I would want to have too much confidence in, however. The alternatives, Captivating Cara in the second slot, the number 5 horse off a good second place finish last time. Again, number-wise, not much, but comparatively speaking, it fits squarely with this field. And what to me is maybe a solid alternative price-wise would be Tremaine, the number 8 horse, 15-1 on the morning line. I think you'll get all of that off of the debut, which was a kind of a darkened form kind of a situation with a trouble trip. But I think there's some breeding here with Tapiture on top. The horse gets a little dose of class relief. With that experience under the belt and adding some Lasix this afternoon, I wouldn't be surprised to see an improved performance from Tremaine. And again, if you're looking for an alternative at a price, maybe that's a direction to go. In the sixth at Aqueduct, 9, 5, 8, and 7.
Late pick 3 time in race 7. It's a $16,000 claimer. It's a 2L, 4 and up, 7 furlongs.
4, 8, 9, and 2. I'll put Kahiba Ghost on top. Wayne Potts runner. And the Wayne Potts runners have been kind of a mixed bag. But this one came in from Woodbine and ran okay. And as I say, not just the Wayne Potts runner, but these Woodbine transplants have been hit and miss. But this one ran a decent second on the move from Woodbine to Aqueduct at this level. I think off of that race and looking at the rest of this field, I can tilt in that direction with a little bit of confidence, but we'll have to get by Royal Suspect, who goes out for our friend Roddy Valente and does so with a little extra class relief. Broke the maiden at the 25 level, 2 back. Followed that up at a $40,000 conditional claimer on the grass and ran an okay 4th. Back to the dirt last time for $25,000. A little bit disappointing in that race, but now comes back in the seasonal debut for a 16 tag. So I think at the level, Royal Suspect is a player, and Unbridled John in the 3rd spot. The race 2 back was a maiden claimer, and it was a nice victory at the 25 level. Maybe got some experience at this N2L level last time and could benefit from that. And I just think belongs with this particular bunch, which again is not a super strong field at the level. For me, in the 7th, 4, 8, 9, and 2.
Late double in race 8. It's a good one too. 1X or 4 and up, a mile and an 1/8, 2 turns on the main track.
It is a good one. I have it 6, 8, 2, and 4. I put Malibu Star on top for Kelly Breen. Lightly raced, only 3 starts, and broke the maiden last time in career start number 3, but did it in a much improved effort and has improved start 1 to start 2 to start 3. But the improvement was fairly marked in each of the first few starts. Seems to have held good form with some nice bullet workouts underneath. I'll look for this one to step into this kind of company and be successful doing it. But it's a salty little field, as seen with Chestertown, the West Point runner, who has shown some real promise throughout the career. Last time they put the horse in an state bred optional claimer and won that very nicely. Now in this allowance non-winners of one condition, I think is going to be a cozy fit again, and off that last win is in very good form. So I think the Asmussen West Point runner is a solid contender. And then Villainous in the third spot. I have that one an acer. I could have gone either way with them. I just tilted towards Villainous a little bit on the number flared 2 back for Jeremiah Engelhardt, but being lately raced, there may be some nice upside potential for Acer. So as I say, I could have gone either way with the bottom 2, but I have it 6, 8, 2, and 4.
And we'll close it down in the finale. It's a 10K claimer, 4 and up, 6 furlongs to wind it up at Aqueduct.
12, 11, 8, and 5. I went with Shamrock on top. This one claimed 2 back for 20,000. Didn't show much that day. Followed it up at 40,000. And again, it wasn't a scintillating race by any means. But now in the second start off the claim, comes back for 10. These are the kind of scenarios where I can go either way. I can make an argument either way. But if the move down does wake them up, there's back class here. I just couldn't ignore that. So I went in that direction with some trepidation. It's hot out in the second spot. Maybe the Catch Me If You Can horse from the outside. Chris Engelhardt training Dylan Davis. And you would have to think, given the horse's speed, they will send. Class-wise, I think it's going to stack up okay with this bunch. So put that one in the mix as well. And in the third slot, I have Winning Drive. Comes out of a nice race last time against similar, good second place finish. And off of that race, as I say, against a similar type of a group, have to put Winning Drive in the hunt as well. In the 9th and final at Aqueduct, 12, 11, 8, and 5. All of which brings us to the end of this edition of the Handicappers Report. Took a look at Gulfstream on Pegasus Day. Little Aqueduct for Saturday afternoon. As always, if you didn't get a chance to write down some of the races you're interested in, go to capitalotb.com and pull up the Handicappers Report. Nice printable sheet with all the selections there. Brian, as usual, appreciate the visit. We will be looking for you as we have throughout the winter season, pregame and paddock commentary down at the fairgrounds where you're doing a great job. But appreciate the thoughts on Gulfstream this afternoon. We'll check in next week.
Seth, I always appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good luck to you, everybody back home as well, and what's a great Saturday of racing.
And good luck to everybody out there. We'll see you again next time.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.